Welcome back, agents, to another Division 2 upload. I'm LtBuzzLitebeer, and in today's video, I wanted to take a more in-depth look at 5 of the changes that will hit the live game, possibly in a few weeks. So for the next 10 minutes or so, I wanted to take a look at one exotic weapon, a couple of exotic gear pieces, status effects, loot scaling, and the vendors. But before I begin, we are rapidly approaching the 50,000 subscriber mark on the channel, and I would kindly ask that if you like this kind of intensive Division content in your lives, smash that sub button, and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss a future upload notification from my channel. Alright, let's begin. Why don't we start off today's video with a look at the exotic Bighorn assault rifle. Now, this AR can only be found as a random boss drop on legendary difficulty missions, and I know what you're probably thinking about how most players never attempt legendaries. But with Title Update 10, I really think more of you will. Anyways, back to the Bighorn, which received an 11.2% damage increase in Phase 2 of the PTS, and then even more headshot damage multipliers in Phase 3. So showing now on your screen is my maxed out Bighorn on the current live game, hitting for body shots ranging from 218k up to body shot crits of 568k. Switching to headshots without the scope, and it ranges from 376k to crits of 726k, and while using the scope and hitting headshots, it connects for 1.69 million up to crits of 3.26 million. Using the exact same build, but now on Phase 3 of the PTS, and the Bighorn is now landing non-crit body shots of 241k up to crits of 628k. Aiming for the head, and it starts to connect with 484k non-crit shots up to 991k crits towards the end of the magazine. With the scope active, non-crit headshots start at 2.8 million, and I ended up after several magazines at roughly 4.68 million with crits. Now, the new headshot damage bonus of plus 2% headshot damage does work when either firing from the shoulder or aiming down the sights through the optics. Once again, I know it is a difficult weapon to source, but the incoming damage increases for the Bighorn make it a viable weapon to use in Title Update 10. There are several changes to gear sets, brand sets, and exotic gear pieces designed to benefit healer builds in Title Update 10, and for the second item featured today, I wanted to show you the differences with the exotic BTSU Gloves and how they have changed for the better. Now, they've always been extremely useful to squad play for resetting DPS player skills back to 0, but there were a few small changes to these gloves in Phase 2 of the PTS that have proven to have a major impact. Let me show you. For Title Update 9.1, detonating a hive refreshed all ally skill cooldowns and grants them overcharge for 15 seconds with a cooldown timer of 120 seconds. Now, I was able to grab some footage of my healer build using these gloves on the live game, and here are the revive hive stats right now. 1 second refill speed, 36 charges, 13 meter range, and a 70-second duration, with a skill tier 6 benefit of plus 20 repair charges, 120% healing, 120% range, and 420% health. Now, we've always known that the overcharge also applies to the player using the healer build, but with a hive detonation, we were never able to get all the hive charges back before the overcharge effect wore off. Watch the footage and you'll see the overcharge wears off after charge 26, and charge 27 through 36 are done through the normal recharge rate based off my skill tier and skill haste. For Title Update 10, the BTSU Gloves now receive plus 15% Hive skill haste per skill tier, and my Hive stats using the exact same build as before are as follows: 0 second refill speed, 36 charges, 13.2 meter range, and a 70-second duration, with a skill tier 6 benefit exactly the same as before, but now with plus 30% drone speed. However, when I toss out my hive and detonate it, just look how insanely fast the revive hive completely charges back up through the added benefits of the skill haste percentages and the overcharge effect. I mean, this is absolutely sick. Switching gears, and everyone that has spent the time and hours grinding for status effect build pieces has been paying close attention to the sweeping changes to these builds during the PTS, and I was able to grab some comparison footage, and the results have hit this build type hard. Now, I normally use a CC build with a Blinder Firefly and the Jammer Pulse, and here are the Firefly stats on my Title Update 9.1 setup. Skill haste is at 136.4% with a 23.9 second blind duration and a cooldown of 19.8 seconds. Now this means I can blind up to 10 targets and typically get my blinder back off of cooldown before the targets come out of the status effect. Now the huge changes have been made to the skill tier 6 benefits, as I currently receive a 120% blind effect duration bonus for this tier. In Title Update 10, this same build has the following stats. I still have that 19.8 second cooldown, but my blind duration has been cut by roughly 40% duration, and this is because the skill tier 6 benefit for the duration has been cut in half, down to 60% blind effect duration. My current jammer pulse has a 14.9 second duration with a 12.2 cooldown thanks to a 60% effect duration bonus at skill tier 6. For Title Update 10, here are my jammer pulse stats. I still have that 12.2 cooldown, but the effect duration is down to 8.9 seconds, even though the skill tier 6 benefit of plus 60% still shows. And I don't know, this is possibly a UI bug that is causing this? We'll have to see. Equipping the Banshee Pulse on this build in Title Update 9.1 yielded these stats: an 8.5 second cooldown, 11 second duration, and a 14.1 second effect duration with the plus 60% confused duration skill tier 6 benefit. Switching over to Title Update 10, and here are the stats using this exact same build. The cooldown is now at 12.7 seconds, the duration is at 10, and the effect duration is at 11.9 seconds with the plus 60% bonus at skill tier 6 still showing. And just to give you one more example, here is my Pyro build for Title Update 9.1 showcasing the Burn Sticky Bomb with a 15.5 second cooldown, 3.7 million damage, and a burn duration of 39.4 seconds with a skill tier 6 benefit of plus 60% burn damage, 120% duration, and 90% skill haste. Now for Title Update 10, and using the same build, the cooldown is at 5.1 seconds. The damage has fallen to 1.1 million, and the duration was cut by 75% to just 10 seconds with all the same skill tier 6 benefits. Clearly, players using status effect builds will be sent back to the drawing boards, and we will need to reformulate a plan to help control our targets. Sawyer's Kneepads have been changed and changed and changed again, but for Title Update 10, they received a small but extremely helpful addition that can complement your playstyle. Now, in Title Update 9.1, these Kneepads are useful with the no stagger mechanic and the damage stacking mechanic for staying either completely still or attaching to cover, up to a max stack of plus 30% weapon damage. Now, I know these Kneepads can get into conflict with the Fox's Prayer Overlord piece, as that damage bonus is extremely good, but let me show you the differences and then you can decide for Title Update 10. Here are those same Sawyer's Kneepads, but on the PTS server. And as you can see, they look really similar, but now the lore text has been changed to say, all stacks lost 10 seconds after moving, and this is a huge change. Now, when you build stacks to max and either move or break cover, you lose all that damage. But for Title Update 10, you will keep that stack for up to 10 seconds after moving. Now, although this is not amp damage, at 30%, it is 5% more than the standard form of Vigilance, and you don't lose it until your 10-second timer reaches 0. Now, I didn't have time to plug it into the DPS calculator for comparing a set of max Fox's Prayer Kneepads versus a set of max Sawyer's Kneepads, but using a very basic test of equipping both on my all-red DPS build gave me headshot crits with the Fox's Prayer of 793k, and the Sawyer's yielded 747k crits, but the Sawyer's build also had a bit less crit hit damage. Now either way, Sawyer's looks to be a strong option in TU10, especially now that you have the 10-second movement window to keep the buff. The overall economy for loot, the vendors, and crafting received many changes from Title Update 9.1 to Title Update 10, and I want to start off with the loot scaling, as I have been asking for this since as long as I can remember. I have been repeatedly disappointed in the past while running through a heroic mission only to open a gear crate or faction cache to see purples or extremely low attributes on a high-end gear piece. Title Update 10 has now incorporated loot scaling to your difficulty tier, and as you can see from the same crate, both on the TU 9.1 live server to the PTS, the results are dramatic. In Phase 1 of the PTS, vendors' loot quality was addressed with better quality items and no more specialized or purple items once you are at a max level. Furthermore, vendors now sell named items, and while these changes to the vendors don't mean that each and every week they will sell God rolls across the board, the differences I have seen on the PTS have been significant and could actually bring vendors and their wares back into the fold. And finally, I would like to comment on the fact that I can see and feel a difference in the crafting bench, as I do not receive nearly as many low attribute rolls when crafting gear. However, there seems to be a huge difference in the reroll allowances on your exotic gear. Now, in the current 9.1 version of the game, I can reroll an exotic, and in 2 to 3 attempts, I can have fully maxed or just a sliver away from max gear or weaponry. But on the PTS, I've had to reroll exotics 20 or more times to finally get a weapon that I can use for testing. So my advice to everyone out there would be to grab as many exotic components as you can and reroll your exotics before Title Update 10 goes live, or you could be caught out and needing components after rerolling your exotics to no avail. Now, of course, there are plenty of other items I could have covered, but these are the 5 I decided to focus on. As always, I look forward to reading your feedback in the comment section below. If you haven't yet done so, please hit that subscribe button for intensive Division content and ring the bell to never miss another upload notification from my channel. If you liked the video, rate it with a thumbs up, if not, with a thumbs down. If you feel up to supporting my content creation outside of YouTube, check in the video description for links to my Patreon and Teespring store. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter for all my latest thoughts concerning most things gaming related, and until my next upload, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.